You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Deservedly so in many, many ways, obviously. But you and I were talking about this after the game. And we know now that we didn't know then, Texas Tech checking in number 12 nationally in the Associated Press poll this week. But in general, what this meant for their standing in the Big 12 Conference and those projections moving forward, dare I say there has been some crowning in some senses of these Red Raiders whenever it comes to a Big 12 driver's seat. I'm just going to remind everybody, it's week 1 that we're talking about. So how has that sat with you? Just, I guess, some of the adoration that's been out there for our Red Raiders following that win.
Yeah, I feel like everybody's trying to hand you some trophy here for being 4-0, and it's not how it works. I've just seen way too much. Like, okay, everything does run through Lubbock, or hey, man, Big 12 champs. You know, and it's just you're 1-0. I mean, you've got it all in front of you. I think I still think Arizona State's the team to beat. I felt like this all summer. I still feel that way. I think that's and is going to be your toughest game all season. I've never really wavered from that. The Utah game ended up being much tougher than we would have thought when we were talking about it in April, May, and June, and all those things. Maybe the Kansas State game is not going to be as tough. I don't know. That's still a ways off, but. I mean, Mississippi State beat Arizona State at their place on a Saturday night with all the cowbells going, and Mississippi State's continued to win. And Arizona State is, now they're 1-0, and that's an impressive road win for those guys beating Baylor. So I just think that everybody's got to be careful here because you just haven't really done anything yet. Yeah, this is just like but this is also why you're older. I think you're mature. I think there's like this, and it won't be this way if you ever win the league championship, right? But right now you're chasing. You're motivated because you haven't ever done this. This is all new. This is you're hungry. Maybe Arizona State's not as much. It's that's what Kenny Dillingham has been battling. But that I just would be careful about all the you've made it scenarios. And again, it's just us talking. I don't think that those kids are getting caught up in that. I just think it's kind of funny that because. And here's what's funny. Can we talk about where you're in the terms of this conversation with the poll?
Yeah.
What's funny is you're ranked 12th in the country now. Highest ranking since 2013, I think it was. And everybody picked Utah. Like all the TV people on all the preview shows, and everybody picked Utah. They were favored, okay? So you go and you wear them out. You thump them by 24. And you move up, which is great. But Utah falls all the way out. So that part I don't understand because now you don't have there is no ranked win on your schedule now. So for all the Utah love, all the Utah credit, Rice Eccles, it's loud. USA Today says so.
Right.
They've got all the draft picks and all the things, but then you beat them, and now they're just out. So now you don't have a ranked win. Notre Dame, I think is 0-2, still ranked. Illinois got beat by like 53 points against Indiana and is still ranked. You see what I'm saying? It's make it make sense, I guess will be my comment there.
I refuse to even try to make this fool's errand known as the AP Top 25 makes sense. Yeah. What are you punishing Utah for? All I got beat by was the number 12 team in the country. Surely
that's what I'm saying. It's like I don't understand that part of it because they were the favorite. They were everybody's, and then now they're
it's an exercise in futility. So we market it when we got it to market, and we're marketing right now. 12th best team in the land.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Look, I'm a lifelong Red Raider, so let's stack a few more before we start planning parades and whatnot. That's just my personal approach. But Chris, I don't know what to tell you other than I am a believer in Texas Tech being in a different type of universe as a team now. more so this week than I was a week prior. And that's partly why I asked the question yesterday, is Utah any good? I just wanted to know what somebody that saw them in person thought about that. And it's not to demean Utah or demean Tech's victory at all. I really am just curious because I think a lot thought this is 1 versus 2. And then you wind up with a 3-touchdown separation between supposed 1 versus 2 in whatever order you thought that might have been. And so you're wondering, all right, well, were they actually in that category to begin with? And it's probably just in the eye of the beholder, I suppose. Got a great coach. I know that. And if you're sound in the trenches, you're going to continue to compete. So they may bounce back and go on some run. I have no idea. But I'm just interested to hear some of the reaction from other Red Raiders in the audience who are no doubt soaking in the love. I mean, I was watching it with a guy that was almost commanding me following conclusion of the game on Saturday, Chris, check out all the halftime shows. I'm like, what are you kidding me? You want to watch the Suits? I thought maybe we'd put on Waylon. He wants to go to all the halftime shows so he can soak in the Tech love, and he learned his lesson, which I already knew. What do we get? About 120 seconds. 3 networks, 120. They don't care about us. They're mad that they got to talk about us, as a matter of fact. So another lesson learned. Let that be a lesson to you out there. Speaking of lessons, can we wrap it up on a different lesson front? How about laundry and what was previously referred to as crimes against the family? The family has been abused, Chris, to this point in the season. And man, you and I mentioned it on our reaction episode, I think. It's crazy to think about what the score might have looked like if you didn't offer up, say, 100-plus penalty yards versus not much for the other guys. So that's a problem that we can't ignore. And, man, shooting your own toes off, never where you want to be. And it's hard to think about a championship contending team doing that thing and surviving it. First, today's episode brought to you by Square. Your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. There are certain businesses that truly make the neighborhood feel like home, whether it's the local sports bar, the coffee shop, or the corner store that's been serving your neighborhood for decades. These are the kind of places that bring people together. And when neighborhood businesses thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives. Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world, including some local favorites in the 806 like Shadow Hills Golf Course, The Outdoor Chef, Quarter 4, Lubbock Welding Supply, Sugar Bakers, and a whole lot more. You can go to square.com/go/lockedoncollege to learn more today. But before you do, go support your favorite local spot. Powered by Square. See you in the neighborhood. Consistently throughout the year.
It should really give you the way it all ended up. This is actually a perfect scenario, and you're going to go, what? Because how much better could you have been had you eliminated a lot of that? Okay, so let's break these down in a few categories, because there's a bigger point that I want to make about all the false starts. But Howard Sampson, he held Daly one time, that got Barron hit. You had a roughing the kicker penalty. Bryce Pollock was trying to be aggressive and come after it. It is just slightly the wrong angle. If he just kind of cuts it up just a bit, he's free and clear, but instead and you can't mess with the plant leg. That's where it gets dangerous. That's why you get roughing instead of running into.
Chris, do you have any insight over the years on how they coach against that? Is there a way to coach against that, or an angle or something they put in their minds? But I think you're trusting the athlete there to just be to understand leverage and space and hard to be mad at the guy, but
timing. Exactly. But it's also just something that, boy, what if that's the end of the game and they're kicking it to win it, and he misses it, and you allow him to kick a chip shot? I mean, those are just things that you can hopefully learn from. The other penalty, like on the punt, kick catch interference, this was pretty savvy by the old Utah returner here. This is clearly coached. They got one on you, because it's like he runs up, puts his hands on him, and it's like, hey, and then he steps back and catches it. And I will say that's well done, because you okey-doked. Was it Mohorn, or was it?
I think it was Mohorn. Clearly coached, you say?
That's what our people thought.
Interesting.
Our people thought that this is something that they were coaching their guys to do. Maybe they're wrong, or maybe they had seen something similar watching all of this.
Yeah.
But it was clearly intentional to like kind of run up, make contact, and then back off. And then there's a lot to ask a returner to do now.
Yeah.
To like, there's a lot going on there. So if the guy gets in your grill, man, go up, touch him, back up, catch it. You're going to get, we're going to get.
That's interesting. It was a weird thing to watch. I didn't feel like I'd seen that type of sequence many times on a punt return.
and I want to say it's BS. I want to say that's but part of me says, no, man, they got you. It's kind of like a flop.
Sure.
They flop. I blame the official.
I was really curious, and I didn't know offhand. Like, I know you can get blocked into a returner or something like that. So I thought about the returner making contact with you, but I guess he's got his halo. So
yeah, that's right. And so I think if they teach that if you're just too close, like go up, initiate contact, and then try to get it together. And now it's a gamble, because what if you don't get that call and then you don't gather yourself and catch it and all that stuff? Okay, the other one with the false starts and everything, the variety of so the audible clap and all that. This is why I think Joey is really good at what he does, because they admitted that they screwed this up. This was a mistake. I don't want to say that they were. I mean, he talked to some different offensive coaches around the Big 12 and other people that had played at Utah. I don't know whether they just were underrating the noise, or they felt like what they could do would work. But they clearly had misjudged that, and it cost them several penalties, because you're going off of the a clap and all that, and people can't hear, and you're just guessing, and it just fall. And it was Sheridan Wilson, it was Ponton, it was Howard Sampson. It just you kind of spread it around a little bit, but it just you will have a better plan. And this is why I say, in a 34-10 win, there's some things that you can learn from and be better at, or that you're kind of sorting through your first road trip. You won't have this problem in Houston, because I think the crowd in Houston will be, I mean, it may be 50-50. You may even have more than Houston fans there. I don't know, but it won't be Rice Eccles or anything like that. But he admitted, hey, we screwed this up. It's kind of like when he admitted, hey, man, I mishandled Micah Hudson, the whole scenario. Like, I will learn from that. And because there's just a lot of coaches out there that don't admit an own goal, like to use a soccer term, when they screw it up, you don't ever hear them. So I think that's a good quality for, hey man, we botched it. And that's just part of his transparency here. So
I guess I would have just assumed, maybe I'm just naive as a fan, but I would assume that all offenses are just walking around with two varieties of getting a snap off. And that's maybe a little more difficult than I'm thinking.
Well, and I don't know how Coach Leftwich has done this in the past. I don't know how it's all set up and built and all the things. But yeah, it's a fair question. But it's one that they will be better off of, or better off for, having gone through this now, and they'll be ready for it for their next road games.
I felt like you were alluding to also perfect sort of circumstance to then hit a 2-week period with, because of so many teachable things to actually take away from a 24-point road win, which may not seem that easy, but we got to keep these boys hungry and humble over the next 2 weeks. Right?
You can't. That's on the plan to win that Joey often talks about. I think number one on the list is don't beat yourself. And they were trying to do this over and over again on on Saturday, just like and that's the first thing he said to me when we were going to the locker room. He's like, don't beat yourself, man. He goes, we can't get out of our own way. We got to get this cleaned up. And then you come right out of the locker room, and I think you had 2 penalties on the first series, the one that Barron ended up getting hurt on, but you had 2 penalties before, like what is going on? I mean, it's just like, because double-digit penalties is bad, but like you gave him a whole football field worth of yards.
I know.
But that should make you feel pretty good that you win that game going away, and you still, because they had 2 penalties. 2. Now one of them cost them a touchdown. So the yardage doesn't really tell you that. It was a 5-yard penalty that was on them that was going the other way, fairly early in the game. So anyway, okay, well, I love all the quarterbacks. I don't care who starts, just want to win. I love the opinions. Just try to enjoy being 4-0. Be mad and angry that whoever you want to start isn't, or vice versa. ELE, man, everybody love everybody. It's all good.
And shout out to the Griffiths contingent showing up.
That's right. Yeah.
I think they're calling them Griffaniacs showing up in the YouTube comments.
And I'm telling you, if ever he is asked or called upon, he will run around and make some people look really silly. He's not as tall as Will and whatever, but he's very mature, well-liked, has got a handful of starts at the Power 4 level, and he will run around and make some things happen too. So I just maybe it is the PTSD. I just think you're going to need a variety of guys, but I'm just telling you how I think this is going to go. I think Barron is still going to be the starter. I think Joey and staff will eliminate any talk of controversy, and maybe the leash is long, maybe it's short. I don't know, but I just don't think they would hesitate if that's what they felt like was ultimately best on pushing that button if Barron were to struggle. And then I know some people are like, well, he's already struggled. Will Hammond should be playing, but now we're back to talking about what we were at the first part. So
in addition to, just the general sense that fans are attracted to a QB conversation like moths to a flame, I also think generally there's a different kind of factor here in the sense that you are believing after what you saw on Saturday, you have got a team in many ways that could put together a very special season for Texas Tech. And so the margin for error razor thin, and you really want to get it right, particularly with one of your foundational spots, and that's your QB. So I get some of the anxiousness around it. I think that probably is rooted in that.
And we said this summer. I don't remember when I said it to you, but I know you remember that I said it. The people with the most pressure in Lubbock, Texas, as it relates to this situation, are Joey McGuire and Barron Morton, and that has not changed. That has not changed. And they get the least amount of slack, if you will. But there's a reason why you're recruiting so well and you're building this culture so well and all that. And that's why you just have to trust your head coach that he's got the pulse of the culture and all that to know how to maneuver away. Because this is adversity. You don't know when it's going to hit, but this is adversity. You're kind of, maybe it's not even that big of a deal internally. Maybe it is a big deal internally. I don't know. But like these are just kind of things you're going to have to maneuver your way through. This is just part of a football season. But I just know Will Hammond is now playing the role that Barron Morton used to play.
Externally have a ball. Go nuts, kids. Let's debate, cuss, and discuss for a couple of weeks now. All right, Chris, appreciate your time as always, man. Enjoyed it, and looking forward to the next one. So we'll see you then.
Yeah, sounds good. Keep hope alive, people, and hopefully you're getting some downtime this week, and we'll come back and talk later.
Get subscribed on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts so you never miss an episode. Thank you so much to the Everydayers for always being out there, and the Matador Mob as well. Always love to hear from you. That's your direct line to Chris and myself with one-on-one text sent straight to your phone. You can hit our show notes and find a link to a free 14-day trial if you're interested in trying on that crew. All right, for Chris, I'm Casey. Thanks as always for the time, and we hope to see you back for the next round on Locked On Texas Tech.